First things first, guys. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to be here, ready to rock out the show in Amsterdam. Good to be back.
What I want to start with before we go into your record is you're both not from LA.
No.
What drove you? Because you call the city of broken dreams. So what drove you to go towards LA?
Well, I mean, you don't really know it's a city of broken dreams until you really get until you get there.
Right.
You start to figure it out why people call it that or why it's called that. But for me personally, I kind of was a little bit tired of what was going on where I lived. You know what I mean? I felt like there was something bigger for me to do. I went to school and everything, and I was just getting myself in trouble. And I think my parents were getting tired of me, and I didn't feel like I found my purpose. So when I got a chance to come to LA, I took it.
At this point, what role did music play? Was it already a big part of your life?
It was, as far as like listening, and this is when I really started to want to be a musician in some type of form. You know what I mean? I started kind of singing and kind of messed around on the microphone and on Pro Tools and trying to learn, you know, the way around it and things like that. But I hadn't fully committed to it. And when I first put my first song or two online of my own and got the chance to come out to LA, then I was like, okay, maybe I should take this and see where it takes me. And I never came back. So. And
Dante, I believe you. I have to check. You were born in Denver, but you grew up in
No, I grew up in Denver.
Okay.
But then after high school, I bounced around a little bit. I was in Oklahoma. I graduated high school in Oklahoma. Went to Chicago, back to Denver, but went back to Oklahoma and ended up in LA. So I've been working on music the whole time.
Okay.
Just really trying to find my spot. So whenever I got to LA and I was around, like, you know, at the time I was interning for a bigger producer, and yeah, I felt like right at home. You know what I'm saying? I felt like this is a place where, like, you know, creatives come and do their thing, and there's a lot of different people, a lot more open-minded people. So I was like, all right, cool, this is a spot for me. So I finished college, and I moved out, and within like the first week, I get a call from the producer I was working with, Brian Kennedy. He's like, yo, like you've got a first single with Kelly Clarkson. And which was big, and then, you know, just kept getting other cuts from there. Eventually, I just wanted to do something that wasn't so like placement based, because I always was a big fan of like indie rock, and I really liked what Kanye was doing, and so I wanted to do something bigger. And so I kind of fell back from doing that and started trying to figure out my own sound. You know, me and Drew crossed paths in 2014. Here we are.
Do you remember your first impression of?
Yeah. Well, I kept seeing him around the studio that we were at, that was in Hollywood. I'm not the type to go out of my way to like really trying to meet somebody, but I met him a few times. Like every time he'd have his sunglasses on, he walking around all cool. Yo, what's up, Drew? And eventually, like the fourth time, I was just like, look, bro, I've met you like 4 times before. Like, I'm not about to meet you again. But then one time, my friend that I moved from Denver with, he brought me by. Like, all right, I'm actually gonna come by so you guys can like hang out and stuff like that. And from there, it was just like we actually got time to talk. And, you know, like we were like, okay, cool. Like we became cool, started working on some songs, and next thing you know, we were a group.
Looking back, what made you click musically?
I just think it was his approach. He didn't have any parameters to how he he just did whatever he thought it was tight, you know what I mean? Which is ended up being the same thing I like to do, and the way we ended up approaching our music as they. But he had like a very left of center approach, I guess you could call it, because I listened to the pop stuff that he was doing, which was tight, you know. But I'd heard that in all the sessions I'd gone through. But then he showed me some stuff that really wasn't pop. It was kind of just some weird materialist, you know, some weird type of ideas that he didn't really show anybody. And so he showed it to me, and then I was like, oh, wow. It was a song that became Africa. But I heard that. I remember hearing that and just having the reaction, just like, okay, I've never really heard a producer, you know, make music like this. You know what I mean? And he even had some melodies on there already laid down. So the fact that he could do that and then also have melodies to supplement the ideas that he had, I thought that was really something I'd never seen before. So.
And this is interesting. Dante, do you remember why you didn't show those tracks and those...
Yeah, it was weird.
Okay.
It's super weird. I mean, the song Africa was very weird. So I didn't expect anybody to like it. I wasn't even sure if it was good or not at the time. But it was like once he heard it, he immediately kind of knew what to do with it, and then like that was just like a big surprise for himself, because I was like, I don't even know if anybody's gonna understand what I'm playing right now, because it's a 6/8, it's got all these weird voices and stuff, but just the fact that he was able to find or figure out what I was trying to do and then like actually make it happen was like just like a mind-blowing moment. I was like, okay, let's keep trying to do this, and we just kept doing it again and again, and yeah, even he hit me up one day and was just like, yo, like we should make this a group. Like obviously we got like 3 or 4 songs at this point. Like why not make this like a thing? And you know, here it is.
And then, do you remember that moment in the studio where it kind of where you thought, well, this is gonna work. This.
I remember he it was when he got in the booth and we started like cutting the vocals. I was like, oh wow, like because I was just being goofy whenever I was coming up with what I was coming up with. But when he actually like cut it like seriously, I was like, oh, this is actually tight. You know, I like you heard that there was something special.
Mm-hmm. And Drew, you mentioned creative freedom, and then that is important for both of you. Is that rare? Because you say he kind of shared that with you. So is that rare in this industry?
I mean, I would say it's kind of rare, because coming from the songwriting world, you know, you're chasing placement, so to speak. So you're always trying to see what this person wants on their project or what they want on their project and trying to go down that path, as opposed to just doing whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Sometimes some people do that and it works for them, but most of the time, trying to get placements, you gotta kind of at least play the game a little bit and see what everybody else wants. But to find a producer that just kind of didn't have any rules to the way that he approached it, that was kind of, that is a little bit different. Because I think a lot of songwriters and producers kind of like chase what already works. You know what I mean? They do a lot of what already works as opposed to taking chances. And the ones that do take chances usually are not open to working with anybody else. They're very by themselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it is very rare to have somebody that wants to work and that is very, very different. You know what I mean? So
this attitude that you share, is that a reflection of kind of how you grew up and the type of music you listened to growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very eclectic background.
Yeah, it's like I was the type, I didn't really care if people didn't like what I was listening to or didn't like the music or thought different to me. Like I played basketball growing up, and I was a kid, you know, in the locker room full of black kids. I'd be like, all right, we should play Taking Back Sunday or something like that.
Right.
I'd be like, gosh, turn that off. You know what I'm saying? Like, but so I never really bought into like, oh, certain people are supposed to listen to this or supposed to listen to that or supposed to do this. Because like I said, my first placement was with Kelly Clarkson, which is like, you know, the poppiest of pop artists. So I'm this black kid from, you know, wherever. So it's just like, the whole narrative is kind of unorthodox, which is kind of where the sound comes from too. You know what I'm saying? It's just two guys that don't really, or you know, we seek validation from liking our own music. You know what I'm saying? It's not that we're like looking to impress other people. It's like we want to make something that we like first and foremost. You know, and that's it.
Right.
Can you give me an example then of maybe a bit of lyric or something that Drew did that you were really impressed by on the record, or that sticks out for you?
So, you know, I'm in the headspace of thinking about Africa. So, it's like on the fast part where he's like, puff on your cannabis, money's a devil, but yeah, what is the lyric? I'm blanking on it right now.
Puff on your cannabis, wishing for what you can't handle has never been worth, or something like that.
Yeah, money's a devil, they tell him, but they never tell him because they never felt what it feels to be on it. And then,
so blow out your candles and puff on your cannabis, wishing for what you can't handle has never been worth it.
I was like, wow, where'd that come from? But yeah, that was a dope moment. He knocked it out super quick too. So yeah, I'll say that was one of the first ones. I was like, okay, yeah, he gets it.
And at the same time, Drew, for you, the productions that Dante makes, does that influence what kind of lyrics and what kind of verses come out?
Yeah, I mean, because there's a melody within the beat itself, within the production. So there's an inherent melody. A lot of times his inherent melody is either something that's really open that allows you to go a lot of places, or it's a melody that's a little subtle. So it's like, because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll take it without the drums, and we'll start doing the melody without the drums. A lot of times the drums will put you in a pocket that you are stuck in and you can't get out of. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times he has different approaches. Sometimes he'll do it without the drums. Sometimes he'll do it with just the drum pattern and come up with the thing and then bring the melody back. Or we'll write to one beat, and then once we're done writing with that, he'll take the melody from that, take the melody, completely switch the beat and put a new beat to what we already did. You know what I mean? So it's like different different ways of doing it to make sure that the song best matches the melody or the lyrics that we end up coming up with. So he has a lot of different processes and methods of getting to the final finish line.
I think at the end of it, it's like, all right, you figure out what's good about what you're working on, and then you just like build on top of that. So sometimes that requires stripping back a lot of stuff too. You know what I'm saying? So that's always been my thing. It's like, all right, what if this is good? Okay, what else can I add around it that's also gonna continue to be as good? You know what I'm saying? Instead of just like, oh well, this is good, but this sucks, so I'm gonna put it out anyway. You know?
And this is a very difficult question to answer, I suppose. But what have you found that is to your liking? What do you think is good as a group? What are you looking for?
Like musically, or
in your own music.
I think the ability I have the ability to do like 2, 3, 4 different voices. So I think that versatility lends to, you know, you can make any type of beat and I can find a way to make it work. I think the thing that we definitely like about our music is the ability to make good music in 6/8, good solid urban music in 6/8, which I don't really see too often. We did that a few times on the last project, and then probably the third thing I would say is the ability to make something pop, to make something hip hop, to make something in any genre, and still have an effective, cohesive top to bottom album. I think that's something that not a lot of people can do.
And like you mentioned, kind of the way you grew up listening to all kinds of bands, regardless of what people might expect for you. What is it like now then that you are this genre-bending band? Do you still feel that people have certain expectations or preconceived notions about you?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll say that maybe from the EP, maybe people thought that they knew what was coming. It's like, oh, the rest of it's just going to continue to sound like this. Where we are already kind of making a lot of headway towards like the rest of the album by the time the EP had come out, and exploring like new territory already. So sometimes, yeah, I think maybe the amount of time between the EP and the album led some people to think that there was going to be continuous songs that sounded like a particular way. But I think the fact that we don't do that is what makes us even more exciting as an artist, because, you know, I'm a fan like anybody else, and the thing that I hate the most is when, you know, there's an artist that I'm in love with or whatever, and they drop a new song and I go and I click on it, it sounds just like the song that came before it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I really try to like put myself in other people's shoes and like, all right, let me give them something new. You know, like let me really like, I want to raise people's eyebrows, and I think that's something that we're able to do with like the way that we release stuff.
So you're trying to surprise yourselves and each other.
Yeah, I got to impress myself too. Like, you know, obviously they say give the people what they want, but I think the people want something exciting too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think a cool thing to say, something that I figured out about our music is not everybody's gonna like every single song.
Sure.
But everybody's gonna like at least one. You know what I mean? There's one song that at least for each person in every demographic. So, you know what I mean? Might not like all 14, but everybody's gonna find one out of those 14 that they'll like. And that's not a lot of people can say that. So.